Today I'm going to teach you how to use a protractor to measure angles and to draw them. Okay, so how to use a protractor. Protractors can be a little tricky. So we're going to start by taking a closer look. All right, here is the center point of a protractor. Okay, this would be, if it was a circle, full circle, this would be the center of the circle. The bottom line right here, and right here is the part of the circle where it would be the semicircle, also known as a half of a circle. Okay, so right there would be where you would line up your angle. All right? The first scale starts at 0 and travels to the right until you get to 180. The second scale is on the inside and it starts at 0 over here and travels this way to get to 180. Okay, so circle the diagrams that show the protractors that have been set up correctly. Okay, when we look at this, we need to make sure that each one of these is lined up at the very bottom. Remember that we want it to be lined up at the bottom line. We want it to, the angle, the vertex, we want that to be at the center. And we want to make sure that we can see where the line goes through. So if you look at this one, it's not lined up on the line, on the bottom line. Same with this one. So, and this one is not passing through the center. So we know these two are incorrect. But if we take a look at this one, it's crossing through at the center and it's lined up on the line correctly. All right, so we would use the outside, 0 all the way to 180, to find the measure of the angle. All right, so let's measure these angles. If we take our protractor, we need to make sure it lines up at the center. And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to rotate it. Okay, so I'm going to take my protractor and kind of turn it a little bit. I'm actually going to make my protractor a little smaller so that way you can see it. But I'm going to put it right in the center dot. And I'm going to make sure to rotate it so it's at the bottom line completely. So now if I take and I look at the angle, I'm going and starting at 0 and then looking at 10, 20, 30, because it makes sense to count up from 0, right? We don't count down from 180. It wouldn't be 180, 170, 160. So I start at the 0 and I count up until I get to, it's 104. Okay, so this measure of this angle is 104 degrees. Okay, if I look at this angle, I'm going to, again, put it at the center and rotate it until my line is straight. Okay, so that's where it would be about there. And then I'm going to, again, start at 0, 10, oops, I moved it a little bit. That's why you gotta hold your protractor carefully. Okay, so 10, 20. I'm going to take this and it goes until, let's make sure it's perfect. Yep, right there is 30 degrees. Okay, I wasn't on the center dot, so make sure that you're on the center dot. Okay. So some common mistakes that people make. Although this angle lines up with the hole in the line, the part of the angle is on the outside of the protractor. I can't measure that. I can't see where it passes through in the degrees. So that's one mistake that people make. Another mistake is that the angle's vertex goes like this. Okay, you can find two different angles here, but then you'd have to subtract. You got to make sure it lines up at the bottom, okay? So one of these lines, it doesn't matter which one, either this one would have to go this way or this one would have to go that way. So one or the other, you'd have to rotate it. So that way one of the lines hits the bottom line on the angle of the protractor. All right, so let's measure this angle. Okay, so I want to avoid those common mistakes, so I don't want to put the protractor like this. I want to take the protractor or my paper and I want to rotate the angle, okay? In this case, I'm going to rotate my protractor because I don't have a paper to show you. Okay, so I'm lining it up with the center point and I'm going to take my protractor, oops, My protractor's behind. I need to put it in front. And when I've lined it up, it's at 120 degrees. Okay, so what about this one? I've got to line it up and make sure that it goes at the center point and then measure my angle. Okay, I'm starting at 0 here and it's gonna go 10, 20, 30. Remember, you don't start at 180, you always start at 0. And here I'm right at 70. When drawing an angle using a protractor, you must begin with a straight edge, okay? And I always make sure that I have a point at one end and an arrow at the other, okay? So now we line that point up on the edge with the hole, so right here, or the line in the center, just like you see in the picture here. After I'm done, I make 1 or 2 marks next to the angle. For example, if I wanted 45, I would make 2 dots like so. So when I open it up, oop, what am I missing on that arrow? I'm missing the actual arrow, right? Okay, so when I open it up, or when I line it up, excuse me, I'm going to put a dot here for 45, so that way when I move my protractor away, I can take and extend the line. Okay, so then I use the outside edge of my protractor to extend a line, and I draw my other line, making sure that I have arrows on both edges, okay? All right, so let's draw this angle. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with a line. Okay, so you're going to make a straight line using the bottom edge of your protractor with a dot. The second step is you're going to line up your protractor at the center point, and then we're going to make at 68. So here's 65, 66, 67, 68. I'm going to make a dot here, and I'm going to take my protractor and use the bottom of it to make a straight line. Okay, I'm going to use my handy dandy ruler on here because it makes a straight line. So this angle right here, oops, making like several lines now. This angle right here would be 68 degrees. Okay, I want you to try and draw this one for me using your protractor at home, okay? You might want to have a parent or a friend or anyone who might be with you see if they can double check your work, okay? Okay, so start with a straight line and make sure you line it up correctly. Going through 0, start at 10, 20, 30, and go to 35. Okay, pause the video and make your angle. I'm going to show you how I did it. So I went to 35 and I made a dot right there. And I moved my protractor and I used the bottom edge to draw my line. I'm going to move it out of the way though, so that way I can show you my arrow would extend through that dot perfectly, and this would be 35 degrees. Okay, go ahead and try this angle for me. Pause the video right now. Here we go. I'm going to show you the answer. For this one, I made my straight line, and I need to start at 0 and go up 10, 20, 30, 40, past 90. That's a right angle. All the way to 125 and stop. Oop, kidding. Precision is key. 125. Now stop. I'm going to move my angle. Okay, I'm going to make my dot right here just so you can see it. Move my protractor and draw my line using the bottom of the protractor. In this case, I have to use this one. Okay, oops, my dots are a little off. There we go. Even that needs to be a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Let's draw this triangle that has one side length of 2 centimeters with 4 centimeters and an angle of 45 degrees. This is going to take a few more steps. Okay, so the first step is I'm going to need a ruler that has centimeters. Some protractors have them at the bottom. I'm going to take and I'm going to start by drawing a point and then making that point, a line, extend to 4 centimeters. Okay, I'm actually going to change it so that way it doesn't have an arrow at the side, and instead it's going to be a dot, like so. Okay, then my next step, so that's 4 centimeters. My next step is going to be to draw the angle. Okay, so they made sure that I had the length the way I needed it to be. So now I need 45 degrees. So I'm going to put a dot here at 45. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my protractor because now I have my angle. And now I need to take my centimeter ruler, and I need to measure from here all the way. I'm going to have to move it again. I might have to do it just one more time to get it perfect. Okay, line it up with the dot. I need my next line to stop here at 2. Do you see that? Because they want 2 centimeters and 4 centimeters. And this is 4 centimeters, so let's label it. And this right here would be my 2 centimeters. So let's make a dot, or make a line, excuse me. And it's going to go from here to here. So they didn't want me to just draw an angle that had 4 centimeters and an angle of 45 degrees with 2 centimeters, but they wanted me to draw a triangle, which means I need to enclose this figure with one more line, and that line needs to extend from here to here. So did I do everything that they asked? They wanted me to draw a triangle, put a check mark by that. They wanted a length of 2 centimeters, put a check mark by that. They wanted a length of 4 centimeters, check mark, and 45 degrees. Did I do all those steps? Yes, I did. All right, I want you to try this one. Draw a triangle that has a length of 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and an angle of 110 degrees. So they want a triangle with 3 stipulations. Try it, and I'll be back to show you the answer in just a second. Okay, so my first step is to make my baseline of 4 centimeters, and then I need to draw my dot for my angle of 110 degrees. I'm going to then take my ruler and make a line of 3 centimeters. So after I've drawn my line at 3 centimeters, now all I have to do is connect it and make sure I label my triangle. So this is 3 centimeters, this is 4 centimeters, and this right here is 110 degrees. Okay, and that's all I have for you today. See you next time.